Hey, number six episode of this series. Yeah, I'm beginning to feel it that it's coming to an end. There are other things to get onto. Um, it's not so much of only talk that will achieve the goals that we set for it. It also needs to follow some actions. But thank you, everyone that's with me right now. When you watch this later, we appreciate you for taking time to drop by. Like every of our sessions, we want to begin by acknowledging country, especially with regards to the topic of today, immigration. Of course, you cannot have immigration without the First Nation. So we would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today, including this live stream, and we pay our respect to their elders, past and present. We also extend our respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Um, Yes, thank you so much. So we don't want to, all the preamble we normally have, again, how we started with the first session. This was a bit busy, and then we started looking at each of the themes or each of the topics. We considered employment, business, family, very important, and then the whole thing about branding, we did consider that. And then just yesterday, we look at aging. We all we're going to age at some point in time, but why are we doing this? It's really, uh, multicultural leadership network. It's not as if we don't have other things to do, but we felt it was necessary to ride on the wave of the current election spirit in Australia, um, where there's a need to be visible. And quite a lot of constituencies are visible. It's also necessary for culturally diverse people to be visible during this period. And that is why we are currently big on there's a need for us to show up. Not that we're looking for jargon, it's important to show up. And in the context of what we are talking about, it is a call to participate. We cannot keep sitting on the fence and expect change. Go out there, participate. It's not just only election, beyond the election, after all, Saturday is almost here. There's a need for culturally diverse people to be involved. Things will not change themselves, and we have to lead the change we want to see. So we're just highlighting some key aspects to consider. As you go to the poll on Saturday, it's very important. Uh, but also beyond Saturday, what should we be considering in terms of our call to participate? We cannot cover everything within the short time frame. Um, but just to mention some of those topics, I think there are topics that touches our very fabric, the reason we are, and that is why we've selected them. We know there are other big issues even during this election: defense, economy. Of course, those are big ticket items, but we've selected those that we feel only we could chew on. Let the big guys worry about defense and economy and education, big things though, not that we are trivializing them. So today it's a topic that really is hot potato. It is delicate, and I'm careful about this, on how you approach this topic, because you could easily get in trouble when you talk about immigration. Immigration law in any country, for that matter, is quite significant. And leadership, the bureaucrats, they protect this law jealously. Sometimes immigration law could even supersede human rights law because it's that important to protect your borders as a nation. So just put it out right there. We're not against immigration law, because any leader of a country that cannot protect its border does not deserve to be a leader. But we need to highlight a few things that concerns this particular cohort. And now immigration could affect all Australians. But there are these three key areas we just want to sort of pinpoint on because of the time we have. I try not to go beyond 20 minutes. It's a live stream. We don't want to bore people out by too much talk. Please, if you stay on, just drop in a few comments there. We'd like people to be engaged as much as possible. We don't want this to be a monologue. If you could even say hello, you're there. I'm always feeling good to know that someone is there with me. After all, one of our big jargon that we use a lot is we are in this together. It's not a monologue. Now, coming to this particular topic, can I just quickly make a big disclaimer here? And I think this is very important. We are not offering immigration advice here. MLN is not qualified to give advice. And in Australia, this is very important. It is critical that there are people that are registered, that are qualified, that are, if you like, they are checked, they are audited to provide immigration advice. So we are not qualified to do that. Let me just quickly put that out there. But what we are saying here is that there is a need for representation. That is our key word here. Because if you look at a picture we have in front of you, on the iceberg illustration, some of the issues around immigration that we see, that we experience, sometimes some of them are very painful. And the thing with immigration is that it's based on law, black and white. So however emotional it may be, it's the law. And it could be very emotive when you deal with immigration. I've experienced it, so I can tell from lived experience. But there are laws, there are policies driving all these aspects. Like the whole issue of eligible passport holders. The fact that you possess some kind of passport, it's easier for you. Of course, you still have to pass the criteria and all the other immigration aspects that you need to pass before you can be granted a visa. But generally, there are some passport holders that it is relatively smoother for. And we're not here to mention specifics, but we know, we of called people that have been here, we know what they are. The fact that you are from a particular country, it sometimes is almost impossible for you to be able to qualify for some visas. While at the same time, other people, just by reason of holding that passport, they will be qualified. And we see that every day in the community. And people keep wondering, what am I doing wrong or what am I doing right? It's all about the passport you hold sometimes. So the question is, what is driving those selection? And I'm not saying that we have an answer here. The same thing with visa planning levels. Every year, The immigration department have levels of different visas they want to, they plan. That's why it's planning levels. It doesn't mean that they would hit those targets. And these are all on the website, immigration department. That's why I say we're not offering any immigration advice here. We're not qualified to. But this information are all on the website of the department. They have already planning levels for 2023. At least I saw the one for this year. I actually repeated one of them in one of my books because it is an important information, especially if you are interested in this. So again, there are different planning levels. But the key point about that third factor, which relates to the picture in terms of the image and photo illustration, is that all these and other immigration factors influence family, impact on families, future generations. And I think the government is aware of this because I've seen a few discussions on some of the advocacy going on. That a child of a migrant deserves the right to grow up with aunties, with cousins, with grandpa and grandma. And I can share this from lived experience myself. I remember when my children were growing up here. Again, this is all balanced because I have every reason to be grateful for Australia. It's a blessed country. Whether we're highlighting some of these factors, we shouldn't take away from the blessing. That's why we always talk from balance. Let's put a balanced narrative to the issue. So we're not saying there are not good parts. The remarkable part of being a migrant in this blessed country. But I recall some of those episodes when my children were still very young. And sometimes they will come from school, said that during their news, they've been asked to come with grandpa or grandma. And many times they see their counterparts, the local Australians that have everyone here, grandpa, grandma, they come with them to the class. And then they will ask me, where is grandpa? Where is grandma? And many times I wouldn't have an answer because it's not easy for me to just take up the phone and say, grandpa, grandma, come next week or come next month. But for some of these other eligible passport holders, it's as easy as get on the flight. And many times they don't even have to apply for long duration. They can, in a week, in a 2 weeks window, they can get their visa because it's fast tracked. And I know there are explanations for these policies. And this brings me to the key point about representation. Some of the points that we just mentioned, those three factors at the top, they are being driven by policies, laws, and those laws and policies are not they are not just they don't just vanish onto the department to implement. They are usually put forward by policymakers, lawmakers. You would have heard things like bills. They could propose a bill for a change, and they will discuss it. And once that bill is passed, it becomes law. Guess what? If you don't have representation of called people, preferably people with lived experience. If you've experienced what I just shared, and despite the fact that we are all Australians, but if you've experienced it where you grow up with family that is not really a complete family, there's no auntie, no aunt, no grandpa, no grandma, Telephone is never a replacement for relationship. So if you have those people around the table, and we're not saying overnight, we are saying a called people or a called person will become prime minister, but wonders still happen. It could happen. But at least if there is enough representation to air some of these lived experience, if not for now, for the next generation, because the tendency is for this to keep going on. Because personally, I came to meet some of these issues. But how long are we going to continue without adequate representation? But the good news, and maybe the best kept secret, I don't know why, possibly, these lawmakers are voted in. So, if you like, by analogy or by logic, we set these laws because we voted the lawmakers that would make these laws. And when people represent you, like they have constituencies right now, all the candidates, I can tell you this, it's not secret. They make deals with constituencies. I've seen news the other day where some communities, there's already some commitment, maybe to build a community hall, $1 million once I'm in office. It's not their money, but at least they can advocate. That is the power of representation. Someone around the table to advocate. So someone around the table that would, like the point I just raised for call people, these people are Australians. These people, they have families. These people, they are children at least who are Australians. They deserve the right to enjoy the love of grandpa, to enjoy the excitement of grandma and grandpa going with them to class for news session, where they will sit and they'll say, yes, that's my grandpa, grandma. But for many times, often, that is like a dream for many call people. The change can happen, and it has to start from us. So once again, we're not saying that. This is all about not promoting balance. We have to promote balance, and these are critical issue. They are big factors. This was one of raising one of my latest book. I actually talked about this a lot. Migration and family, and all about sustainability. There's a correlation, there's an impact of migration and families. And I'm not talking about people that want to come in, I'm talking about Australians. We are all in this together. So I always say that I don't want to go past 20 minutes. It's not about this small talk that would change the face of the world overnight. But the idea is to sort of, I don't know whether the word inspire is too big, but to lead conversations in this direction. There is a need for representation. There is value for everyone when we are adequately represented. Let's keep talking in our social handles. It's not meant to end here. And please give us your feedback if you see this later. We always appreciate you staying with us. Bye-bye.